A new pope has been chosen. Welcome to the breakdown.
Starts now. What's up, Rick?
You know, like everybody spent the day worrying about, whether or not a 10% trade or tariff that became a 10% tariff could be interpreted as a win, and watching the elevation of the first American pope in a bazillion. No odds were on the American getting it. So it was kind of a fascinating day today.
Yeah, I have to say my daughter has dual citizenship with Argentina and the U.S. And so she's 2 for 2 for popes.
Yeah.
But everything I know about popes, I learned from Conclave. So
everything I know about popes, I learned from a long time in divinity class. So let's just look. He may dislike J.D. Vance. I'm sure he's not full of personal hatred, but the MAGA reaction to this pope really struck me today in a kind of fundamental way. He was immediately the woke pope. There it is, Laura Loomer, the craziest human being in crazy town, screeching about the woke pope. We had all these other MAGA influencer types losing their minds because, oh my God, he thinks that we should treat refugees and immigrants with humanity and decency.
Finally,
this is Robert Prevost is now the pope, the Bishop of Rome, the Vicar of St. Peter's, Big Daddy P.
Now, what's crazy is none
Yes.
of this is woke. This is just what Jesus would do.
And I think it's very difficult right now in the MAGA universe for them to draw a division in their minds between their worship of Trump and the way that cult has inculcated them to blame and hate immigrants. With a lot of them are Catholics. A lot of Catholics voted for Donald Trump, an awful lot of them. And I think this is that a very strange moment for them, because now they have an American pope who represents a set of values that Trump is anathema to. Throwing the words tonight for the Catholics. And I think that there's going to be a really interesting moment, because he can speak to this in English articulately. And I think it's going to cause some stress here, because there's a subset of MAGA that's in that sort of Opus Dei, Tradcath lane that this guy is not. He may not be as far to the left as his predecessor, but he is still a guy who believes that people need to be treated with humanity and dignity, and that faith calls you to behave toward people in a certain way.
Yeah, and I was having a conversation yesterday with Tim Whitaker. He's of the New Evangelicals, which is basically a group of people who are splitting off from the evangelical movement to create their own evangelical movement, where the teachings actually adhere to not just the Bible, but also Jesus's teachings. And he was saying, so one of my questions to him was, how do we reach these white evangelicals who continue to stand by Trump's side, despite the fact that he is dehumanizing everybody who is not basically him? And he said that we talked about the cognitive dissonance as being an opening. And so his experience was, he was working, I think it was at Starbucks, and he had a coworker who was LGBTQ. And he was like, oh my God, this person's nice. They're kind. It goes against everything that I was taught and raised with growing up. So maybe the teachings were wrong, and so, or flawed. And so I think what's really interesting with this new pope is there's going to be this opportunity once again to have the conversation with people of faith to say, hey, does this align with what you are you worshiping a God, or are you worshiping an ideology? Are you worshiping the far right? And I think this there's some moral ground that can really be dug into right now. And so I'm also, and I'm from Chicago. that too. So.
Well, there you go. So, and nobody knows yet if he's if which team he's with in Chicago. That's sort of the
important.
The main Chicagoan concern.
Okay, there's a couple of things I need to know. Like, okay, White Sox or Cubs for one. Also, which deep dish, because that matters, right?
There's a whole. I mean, if you want to talk about like something that is as baroque and complicated as church internal politics, it's the deep dish Chicago wars of all the different, oh no, they make theirs with fine grain cornmeal on the base.
It's important.
I got nothing.
I could talk about Chicago style pizza all day. I want to. No, I lost a debate at the Pizza Museum in Chicago. Okay, that's my. It would utensils versus eating with your hand, because deep dish you have to eat with utensils.
You can't.
That's not why you guys are here, though. We're supposed to be talking about politics. My bad.
Hey, sorry, folks. We do talk about politics here on this show, as you may have noticed from time to time. But look, you should enjoy watching how quickly these folks on MAGA descended into just absolute hatred of this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't spoken a word of condemnation yet to them. He hasn't said a thing about. He hasn't said anything as Pope yet about them, or that they could possibly draw offense from, and yet they are super angry.
They're
and
shocked.
When Laura Loomer and Cat Turd are on the job, the MAGA rage machine is revving up.
Yeah, it's just funny that attacking the Pope is now something that is even a lot. Like, where are we at as a country when the people who are in our leadership are like attacking the Pope? I hate that I just said that Cat Turd is in our leadership, but I feel like
I feel like Cat Turd and Laura Loomer actually have de facto power more than many cabinet members. Laura Loomer clearly does.
I was going to say, this is
one person they don't have more power than is Jerome Powell, who, as Federal Reserve Chair, has basically, in his dignified sort of crotchety old man way, extended his arthritic middle finger to the White House in their demand for we need an immediate big drop in interest rates. He just said, no, you fucked up.
Yeah.
You fucked up. You did a chair for it. You fucked up.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like it's getting any better anytime soon, though I know Trump, I believe, is negotiating with the country of Mattel. So
he
heard about the dolls.
He thinks Mattel is a country. Didn't I buy Ivanka didn't I buy Melania from Mattel? I thought this is where I bought her.
The thing is, he's obsessed with dolls, because it's like the girls will have the little girls will have, and instead of 30 dolls, 3 dolls, and so maybe he's just got
2 dolls
on the
5
mind.
pencils, and with today's amazing great tariff deal with England, where you can now get a Rolls Royce, a Jaguar, or a Land Rover imported from the UK with lower tariff duties. So between that and the improved 5-year beet harvest and the tractor production numbers going through the roof, I think we're in, as they call it, MAGA Maoism.
I had not heard that. That's good. I absolutely love that.
It's pretty solid. Yeah. I didn't make it up. I just found it.
But we've got some clips of Trump talking today.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah,
let's roll that.
Because business has slowed down, as you mentioned, we're seeing as a result, the ports here in the U.S., the traffic has really slowed, and now thousands of dock workers and truck drivers are worried about their jobs.
That means we lose less money, So when you say it slowed down, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Look, tariffs are the most misunderstood thing maybe in any form of business, anywhere in business. Oftentimes the country picks them up. Oftentimes the company picks it up. The people don't pick it up. Okay, the people don't pick it up. Mattel, I don't know. I'm not so sure. They also said they're the only country I've heard. They said, well, we're going to go counter. We're going to try going someplace else. That's okay. Let him go, and we'll put 100% tariff on his toys, and he won't sell one toy in the United States, and that's their biggest market.
I'm sorry. What the fuck is happening?
If Donald Trump had campaigned on my plan is to punish 5-year-old girls, I think the outcome might have been different. But man, he hates dolls.
There's something weird going on with the doll thing. Like at first I thought it was just like a crazy distraction, but
I thought it was a one-off, but no, it's a lot.
There's a sinister, weird thing happening with the dolls. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he wanted dolls and he didn't get dolls.
I hate the dolls. When I'm sleeping at night, Melania piles them up at the end of the bed, especially the one that looks like she's a drowned girl who came out of a television. I don't like it. Those dolls bother me very, very much.
But when
before you die, you see the ring.
When he says that tariffs are the most misunderstood, I'm like, by you. Like the projection is so strong.
It's through the roof.
Like, and the lack of awareness around the projection. Because at this point, every single thing he says, it feels so sharply a criticism of himself that I'm worried I won't say I'm worried he's going to implode. I'm not going to say I hope he's going to implode, but if he did, I wouldn't be surprised. He's turning in on himself.
But you know, Maya, at least he still has people who love him. Let's roll those clips. Because we got some people who love him.
Yeah, we do have that.
Well, Laura, it's called, in game theory, it's called strategic uncertainty, what you're talking about. Nobody does it better than President Trump.
I had the pleasure of getting to be at the meeting today between the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Canada. What I witnessed was like watching a grandmaster in chess perform.
By the way, I want to make this clear. While Jameson and I worked hard, this was the president's deal. And people think, oh, that's not the way it works. If you got to sit next to him, I have the best deal maker to my left. And if you don't think that we take advantage of him calling the prime minister and getting that deal done, you don't understand who's the president of the United States. So he's the closer. He gets deals done that we could never get done because he understands business. He understands deals. And that's why we're here today. So
it's
this Stephen Miller jump scare. You know, I have a story one time that I'm not going to tell tonight. We're just going to save it for later. It's about the time Stephen Miller's wife wanted to get a Brazilian in a salon in Washington. And we'll talk about that another time. If you're not terrified already, it gets worse. You know, you look at these guys and they're talking about this deal with the UK today. And we started out with a 10% tariff on either side. The UK has a trade deficit with us. We sell more to them than they sell to us. Trump carved out luxury car imports from the UK. And the UK gave Meta and Google a tax break. So talk to me about how this makes our trade and economic situation better. I mean, it requires you believe in Trump's 47-dimensional chess, and it just isn't there.
Oh, yes, he's the grand master. What is it that Stephen Miller said? Grand master of the
grand master of chess. And now I must leave your studio, for each night I must sleep in a coffin filled with the earth of my homeland.
Well, and just a reminder, everyone, the whole thing with the tariffs, like they keep shifting what the tariffs were supposed to do. And at one point, we were supposed to see money. We were going to get checks, I believe, from the money that they were going to be saving.
We were also going to get $7,000 checks each from the Doge savings. How'd that work out? You get yours yet? Because I haven't seen mine cross the old mailbox.
Yeah, they're keeping it where they keep the checks for the babies. They've just got like a basket where they're like, this is going to be the checks for the babies. This is going to be free living for all of us, guys. Which is crazy because I thought they wanted us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. And instead of maybe giving us baby checks, maybe they could get dolls for the children, for the little girls.
That's what I heard, is that it was going to be that we were going to all be tougher. There was going to be some pain at first, but we'd all come out of it stronger.
But how's it going to be tough if they're giving us all checks? They were supposed to give us checks, Rick. That's what the people were told.
Listen, when your check comes in, you can use it to buy your lower tariff Jaguar. Never buy a Jaguar, folks. Just never buy a Jaguar. Never buy a Jaguar. It's a bad car. Anyway, yeah. So these deals are meant, I think, in large part, Maya, to basically give his audience something to say. Look, he got a deal. He did a deal. China is absolutely going to go into Switzerland this weekend, and when they meet with Besant, and roll him like a cheap rug. They've rolled him like a cheap rug from the beginning. Somebody asked about if Land Rover's any better. I love Land Rovers. I've had Land Rovers. They are not a mechanically sound vehicle. If you are into mechanical challenges, a Land Rover could be for you. Land Rovers before the year of about 1967, you could fix them with 6 or 8 tools, but they're manual transmissions. They run on diesel. They're unair conditioned. And to say that they lack certain modern safety equipment is putting it mildly. So, Car Talk with Rick Wilson.
I was going to say, but at least they're not a Tesla. That's all I got to say. If any car,
I, of course, drive a Cybertruck. No, I don't drive a Cybertruck.
That would be the one tough thing about being back in California is seeing a Cybertruck every other block. On fire twice. Okay.
See?
That is.
See?
But this is the thing about this administration. I think it's becoming very clear to everyone who's watching that they're only either in it for themselves or maybe to protect themselves from the wrath of Trump. Because Marco Rubio used to be a principled person before he was like kowtowing to, was he criticizing Germany for trying to take out the far right party? Like, it's, what are you doing, Marco?
This week, the guy whose parents fled from Castro's Cuba is praising the spiritual inheritors of Adolf Hitler in Germany.
Like,
heck of a job, Marco.
Like,
good work. He's really like the low point of this administration in a lot of ways, because he is not a stupid man. Marco is not stupid. I know him. He's not stupid. However, he is a howling moral vacuum who desperately wants to be president, and he believes that if he can just kiss Trump's ass for the next 3 years, he will be the front runner for president.
Yeah, that's
for him in that regard. If you think that the Democrats had problems electing a brown person, try the MAGA Republican Party. See how that works out for you, Chief.
Yeah, he should have changed it from Marco to Mark a long time ago if that was going to be his play. Yeah. But he didn't.
You can see J.D. Vance lurking over Marco's shoulder like, I touched the Pope. You want to try?
Yeah, I was going to say. I think it didn't end up well for that Pope. And
the J.D. Vance 5-finger quivering death palm.
Who can trust that man? No one can trust that man. Even his own brother can't trust him. He should have said no to that.
J.D. Vance got his brother into 13th place or something like that.
There were write-ins that came in.
Right. There were dogs on the street with more votes.
Oh, my goodness. So, Rubio, how many jobs does Rubio have right now?
Rubio has at least 4 jobs, and he volunteers to wash Trump's car on the weekend. So he's the National Archivist. He's the Secretary of State. He's the... I don't even know. I can't even keep track of it anymore.
Interim National Security Advisor.
He's just a single. He's just a struggling Hispanic dad trying to make ends meet.
Oh my God! But no, it does remind me. Do you remember in Living Color the characters? They were like, "How many jobs you got?" That's my Jamaican.
Right?
Accent.
Yes.
I got 5 jobs, man. That's like you only got 15 jobs. Like that's the Trump administration. Is they're all sitting in a room bragging.
Yeah, he doesn't trust anybody. Although there was a small victory this week, everybody, and it's a victory. Not only did we not end up with a really shitty human being as the district attorney or the DC U.S. attorney in the form of Ed Martin, but now that Trump has thrown Ed Martin over the cliff, and I'm going to swallow hard and do this, Tom Tillis, a Republican up for election, said no fucking way to Ed Martin. He's a January 6th insurgent, fuck him. No, I won't vote for him. And he couldn't get out of committee. So Trump had a loss today at the hands of Tom Tillis. And as much as I don't agree with Tom on a lot of stuff right now, when you do the right thing, you do the right thing. He did the right thing at least this once. God bless him for that. Because now Trump wants, instead of Ed Martin as Attorney General for the District of Columbia, U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia, Judge Janine. Box of wine, Janine Pirro.
I mean,
she and Pete Hegseth together. I mean, I'm surprised that like their livers don't like leap out of their bodies and mate or something, because they've got to be equally pickled. She is Trump's new choice for that. And I cannot wait. It is going to be a truly hilarious and astounding experience to watch this TV judge try to practice at that level. It's going to be amazing.
They're truly at the bottom of the barrel. Bum, get it? Like the liquor barrel, or like the oak.
We're punchy tonight, folks. I've got to write 5,000 words when this show is over.
I think Trump's obsession with dolls and calling Mattel a country is already. It's sent me, as the kids say. I can barely function anymore after that, and this is this is the case. But as far as Marco Rubio, because I want to go back to that, he got an award of some sort, a lifetime achievement award. Do we have that clip? I want people to see that.
This Lifetime Achievement Award or Lifetime Leadership Award is a little scary, because it's like, that's it, you're over, it's done. Usually they give it to you at the end, but because you don't know what I'm going to do the next 3 years. Maybe you want the award back in a couple of years if things don't work out. I hope not. I hope not. But thank you.
What an uncomfortable man.
He really does not like his own skin. And that was not always the case. There was a time when Marco had this sort of natural felicity about the way he talked. And now you can always watch his mental process gauging, like, am I offending the dear leader? Am I offending the dear leader? Will this cause me? Because Donald Trump now just fires people who say the wrong thing in public. The FEMA head today said we should have FEMA so that when disasters happen, we can help people with disasters. And they fired him on the spot. Some bitch was in the car on the way back to headquarters, and he got summoned, and they fired him right after he got done testifying.
Okay, Rick, I got to ask you, if we're like 105 days in, they're already scraping the bottom of the barrel. Where are they going to be 2-3 years from now? Who is going to be filling these positions?
Well, Stephen Miller will come into the Oval Office one day and say, Mr. President, I found a guy behind a bus station. He was drinking Sterno squeezed through a rag. He's high as a fucking kite. He's got one leg. He is perfect for National Security Advisor. You know, these people, they will be going down. It will be Twitter personalities by the time this is all over. It will literally be Twitter influencer, MAGA Twitter influencers by the time this is over.
It's idiocracy.
I know one who wanted the National Security Advisor job, who didn't get it, is now stomping his little feet around. All these people they really believe that trolling is governing. And it's so fucking weird. But, you know, and look, Laura Loomer has a really meaningful chance of getting a senior White House job soon, where she's there every day, all the time.
I'm going to say, like Mel Robbins, let them.
Let them.
Let them.
Let them.
Let them. If this is how they want to go down, let them. Because it's not going to end well. And I think there's somebody in the chat had a question about the Constitution. And I hope the question is, does the administration know that we still have one? What is can you pop that question up, guys?
Here's the thing. It's a guideline, sort of a rule, maybe for some people, but I don't know. Do I have to follow it? Maybe, maybe not.
Oh,
I could.
Was it between last show in this show where we saw that he didn't know what the Declaration of Independence was? I can't remember if that was.
Look,
Does he know anything about our founding documents?
Donald Trump's historical ignorance, when he was in there saying, it's a document about peace and harmony and love. I'm like, no, it's a fucking document telling the British to get the fuck out and summarizing their unbelievable excesses and sins against the people of this country and telling them to get the fuck out, and basically a declaration of war, you dumb loaf.
Yeah.
God almighty.
But of course they do not care about governing, so why would they need governing documents if they
Right.
only care about trolling? So I saw a question pop up, will Patel know and other admin follow the Constitution? Well, no. Yeah, it doesn't seem. They've indicated.
Listen, if you're asking yourself a question like, hey, will they round up school children and shoot them in the back of the head if they say something bad about Trump at a school play? The answer will be yes. Authoritarian movements always accelerate. Accelerationism is an underlying principle of these assholes too. They want the violence. They want the fear. They want you to be scared. That's why they arrested the judge. That's why they're threatening now. That's why Tom Homan is going to wait till these governors see what I'm going to do to them. Motherfucker, I can't wait for you to try to arrest a seated U.S. governor. I can't fucking wait. I can't wait to see it. Somebody's going to get dead doing that. This is, Republicans used to be all about the 10th Amendment. States have rights, Sure, they do. I actually believe that. And I believe they have a right to say to the ICE guys, hey, you're a fucking human trafficking ring now, kidnapping people and kidnapping American citizens. You can't operate here. And to Tom Homan, who's starting to arrest these governors, bring it on.
Yeah.
Bring it on, Chief.
I was going to say, what a difference a good governor makes, because I'm looking at Pritzker in Illinois, which now it's like you got Pritzker, you got the Pope, like Illinois
is bringing the heat.
Yeah. Kind of like on the front line there of immigration. And so I think it'll be really interesting to see them try to send ICE into the sanctuary city of Chicago.
Right.
If they try to, I don't think the Pope.
It's such a bad plan. This is like saying, hey, listen, we're going to be greeted as liberators in Baghdad. It's going to go great.
Yeah, the people of
that did not go great. This is a similar sort of concept here.
Yeah, and people of Chicago, I can tell you, you don't want that smoke. The people of Chicago are very strong people. And, I would joke, but this has real world consequences. I saw that the Cinco de Mayo parade that usually happens in Pilsen every year was canceled due to fears of ICE raids. And so that's generations of families together that are usually celebrating their culture and weren't able to. And that is exactly what the Trump administration wants, is for people to live in fear, to not be able to enjoy their rights as citizens, because there are plenty of people in the Hispanic community in Chicago who are also U.S. citizens or permanent residents and should be able to celebrate safely. Like, we should all be able to celebrate being able to be in our country, because we love our country. And so it becomes abundantly clear right now that there is only one party that is trying to destroy what is the fabric of our country. And I truly hope that as they're, attacking people's neighbors, school children, and they're seeing their schoolmates live in fear, that people are really starting to see who the bully is. And it's up to us to continue to have courage and to speak out, because if we're all speaking out, it makes it much more difficult to attack any one of us.
In Florida, I've had a lot of conversations about the last couple of days. They are now arresting and deporting Cuban and Venezuelan refugees that were here on TPS status legally. They're sending them back to Cuba and Venezuela, who they told us those are socialist, communist, Marxist hellholes, and we're the enemies of communism and socialism and Marxism. But we're going to send people back to that. How's that logic work exactly? I'm not really clear on it, because the Republican Party I grew up in welcomed people who were refugees from communism. Now, It's like, oh, they've got too many. There's too many vowels in those names that they've got to get out.
Well, and into Venezuela, where I think was it this week they admitted that Trindagua is not actually controlled by Venezuela,
Correct.
which would be then, so they're terrorists, they're not. It's all very confusing.
It's such a bunch of horse shit is what it is, because they made it up. It was a great talking point, and they're like, it's an 80-20 issue, violent foreign gang controlled by the communists of Venezuela. Well, it turns out a couple things in that document. It's not really like it's a very loosely affiliated gang to begin with. It's sort of like local franchises, not some mastermind pulling the strings. And it's not affiliated with the fucking Venezuelan government. I mean, so the predicate of it being a foreign enemy terrorist organization is horseshit.
Mm-hmm.
It would be like calling the Hells Angels a terrorist organization. They may be criminals in some cases, but they're not terrorists.
Yeah.
There's a whole different legal regime on all those things. But you know what? I got to tell you, as somebody just mentioned this, there were all these videos of Cubans celebrating and gloating after Trump won in South Florida. And I have some Cuban friends who were very much in that, Harris is comunista, soy comunista, all that bullshit. The one person acting most like a Cuban dictator or Venezuelan dictator in this country is the guy rounding people up to send them back to countries like Cuba and Venezuela.
Yeah.
Well,
and hopefully people will start to believe their own eyes and their own pocketbooks, because once again, recapping for everybody, Trump said that he was going to bring prices down. I don't think anything is more affordable for anyone right now. And they have less money because the retirement accounts got hit, and there is still the chaos of Doge, and they are taking our data, and who knows, they're selling our lands to the highest bidder. Nothing about what he's doing is making America great again. So I think we need to continuously return to that.
Stay on target, everybody. Don't be afraid. These people, they are evil.
Bad people.
But there's another thing you just got to always remember. They're fucking morons.
Yes.
Now, morons can do a lot of damage, but they're not that good at this. They're all falling apart. Kash Patel today forgot to bring the budget to the budget hearing in the Senate and was clowned. These people are not supermen. They're evil. They're shitty, but they are not immortal. They are not superpowered. They're not any smarter than you. They're not any smarter than the average box tortoise in my backyard. These guys.
You have box tortoises?
As Mark Felt, who was Deep Throat in Watergate, one time said to Bob Woodward, and it was famously sort of glossied up a little bit in the movie. The truth, he said, follow the money. The truth is, these were not smart guys, and things got out of hand. That's the story of every Trump official every single day. These are not smart guys, and things got out of hand.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Chappelle Show sketch when they came in and they're doing all the things that they're doing. Do you remember the sketch, Keeping It Real Goes Wrong?
Yes.
That is the Trump administration, or at least Trump himself. He thinks he's doing something up there. He's clearly not. It's falling apart. And I'm not going to say I'm enjoying seeing it fall apart, but it is good to know that there is an end in sight. I do believe that people are resilient, especially after what we've been through as far as the pandemic. I think our kids are resilient. We're resilient. And I very much believe that come midterms, I think this is going to be a very, very, very fun and interesting clapback. Let's clap back at the ballot box. Maya's optimism corner.
Well, and of course, once again, folks, I don't know about you, but watching an American cardinal become the Pope today, watching the tradition and the procedure and the stateliness of it, and absorbing the message of it today was very moving for me emotionally. It was because so much of the stuff in our public facing world now is imitations of Trump and Trumpism, and ugliness and chaos and hate. And there is a transcript of it out running around now. You can find it easily. I would read his speech. It's very moving, and whether you're Catholic or not, it's very moving. And I think that I think it was really a good thing to have happen today, because it's a sign there's an institution in the world dedicated to humanity, that is willing to say those words out front, up front, clearly, and without making excuses about it. So.
And it had a real effect on people. I was at Best Buy, and I said, I was like, the new Pope's from Chicago, the new Pope's from, and there were people there who were really genuinely touched and excited. And I had a conversation with the security guard there, and she was saying, oh, he's also a Peruvian citizen, and she feels he's going to bring more people into the church. And I got teary-eyed just talking to her, because it was inspirational. It felt like one of these things, like, we needed this. Like, this feels like a win for humanity. And I think we're moving, maybe we hit rock bottom. I'd like to think maybe Trump 2.0 was rock bottom for people. I'm not saying things aren't going to get worse, but I'm saying situationally.
I don't think it ever gets much better for him.
Oh, not for him.
So
this is it
until hell.
Yeah,
that's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
I had asked for a condo overlooking the Lake of Fire, not in it. All right, folks. As always, a pleasure to be with you tonight. We will see you again next week.
But next week, don't forget the Webbies.
Webby Awards next week. Lincoln
Thank
Project
you to everybody.
3 categories. We are honored as could be, and I want to thank all of you for all your help. Lincoln Project Podcast won a Best Episode award, which was really moving, and I was really touched by that. Our ad Daisy from last year, Best Social Video, and our ad Aftermath. So we're very, very thrilled by that. It's an amazing organization, and we'll be up there next week. I guess I'll see you.
Yes, we'll be seeing
Monday,
each other.
Right?
Yes.
Woo!
Might have to do like a cocktails and
all right.
I can't remember the thing that we did at the DNC, but it was fun.
It was fun. Oh yeah,
and
conversation and cocktails.
Yes.
We're bringing it back.
Yes.
We're bringing it back. We're bringing it back. All right. Okay, guys. Have a great night. We'll see you soon.
See you.